Welcome to a new planetary and seismic update. On the SGI graph from the previous time frame, we see the convergence of planetary and lunar geometry around the 23rd, 25th, 26th, and especially starting on the 29th with several planetary alignments and lunar alignments. And if we look at the seismic activity that we had, the convergence on the 22nd, 23rd resulted in the magnitude 7.5 earthquake in Tonga, the largest earthquake. The convergence on the 25th, 26th, considerable convergence of planetary geometry. This is actually where the quadruple conjunction started with Mercury, Sun, Venus, Uranus, and we see a 6.5 magnitude earthquake off the east coast of Honshu, Japan, and 5.5 Nicaragua, 5.7 Indonesia. Temporal clustering here following that convergence. And look what happened then starting on the 29th, around 29th, 5.9 Indonesia, 7.3 on the 30th in Vanuatu, and then higher 5, borderline 6 magnitude earthquakes, including 6.0 in northern Peru, peaking 7.4 in the Malacca Sea later on the 1st towards the full moon. If you look at the 7.5 magnitude earthquake, that was the largest. Here we see on the 22nd, 23rd, the convergence, powerful convergence of planetary and lunar geometry, and we see a bunch of magnitude 6 earthquakes here as well on the 22nd. And if we look at the solar system, you may recall from the previous update, Earth was in alignment with the Sun and with Neptune, and also Venus between Mars and Jupiter. This is very unique planetary geometry. It's not like cherry picking any planetary alignment, it's the convergence that counts. And on top of the two planetary alignments converging here, we also have significant lunar geometry. That was an alignment with Uranus, 45 degrees with Jupiter, and also 45 degrees with Saturn. This is a considerable convergence of planetary and lunar geometry, which resulted in the magnitude 7.5 earthquake here early on the 24th. Remember, I said 23rd, 24th that the seismic activity could actually peak. The actual magnitude depends on the stress levels in Earth's crust. There has to be a larger fault section that must have reached the tipping point, which was the case here early on the 24th, following the convergence with the planetary and lunar geometry. Again, 25th, 26th, resulting in a strong earthquake, 6.5 off the coast of Honshu, Japan. And we had two magnitude 7 earthquakes, 7.3 in Vanuatu and to Malacca Sea within 3 days towards the full moon, when we had this considerable convergence of planetary and lunar geometry, as I discussed in the previous update. There is a sneaky alignment in there as well that I did not discuss, which is Venus with Saturn and Neptune. It is not an exact alignment. It is also not going to reach an exact alignment. It's not going to be 0 degrees. It stays within half a degree. That was the case in the last couple of days when Venus, Saturn, Neptune reached 28 minutes right here. So as you can see, we had 4 planetary alignments basically, 2 with Mercury, 2 with Venus, and it's always the convergence, the combination of Mercury and Venus together. And on top of that, it was approaching full moon with a considerable lunar geometry here. As you can see, the green lines, as the moon was in opposition with Mercury, Mars, Saturn and Neptune in quick succession just before the full moon. A considerable convergence of planetary and lunar geometry. And this is somewhat similar to the situation that happened in 2023 before the major earthquakes in Turkey. That was on 4-5 February when there was a full moon and both Mercury and Venus were in alignments around the time of full moon, and then a day later on the 6th we had the big earthquakes. So it's always very significant, always important to keep an eye on the convergence of planetary and lunar geometry. It is not just every full moon that counts, it's the convergence with planetary geometry around the same time. It's the convergence. Okay, so this is the seismic activity that we had. 3 magnitude 7 earthquakes in 9 days is well above average. On average, that's theory, we have a magnitude 7 earthquake every 20-24 days. But that's theory. In reality, we can have several months without a magnitude 7 earthquake, and then within a couple of days we can have 2 or 3 of those major earthquakes, depending on the positions of the planets and the moon. They really are the seismic trigger. Let's have a look at what we're going to have in the coming time frame. Here on the 1st and 2nd we have the full moon, the convergence, we know that. Here is the sneaky alignment, Venus, Saturn, Neptune, within half a degree, 28 minutes. I drew the connection lines because here on the 6th we have Venus, Saturn, Neptune still, it's almost stationary, half a degree, 26 minutes. And then on the 9th, when the moon is in opposition with Jupiter, the same alignment reaches just under 26 minutes. This is the closest closest alignment here, Venus-Saturn-Neptune, just under 26 minutes. And so this is going to play a major role in the coming time frame, especially here on the 6th. That is the most noteworthy convergence here, when Mercury is going to be in an alignment with Mars and Neptune. And as you can see, Venus-Saturn-Neptune is just under 26, over 26 minutes. And in addition, we have the Moon in an opposition with Uranus, and also in 135 degrees with Jupiter and the Sun. We're going to look at the solar system. Here we see that geometry, very significant here. The Moon, 135 degrees with the Sun, and 135 degrees with Jupiter, the largest bodies in the solar system. And that happens on early on the 26th, around 2 o'clock in the morning UTC. They're only minutes apart here. And as you can see, Venus-Saturn-Neptune, 26 minutes there. And just before this, later on the 5th, we have the Moon in opposition with Uranus. And then later on the 6th, several hours later, still in the morning, around 7 o'clock in the morning, we have Mercury, Mars and Neptune. So we have Mercury, Mars, Neptune in an exact alignment, when Venus is in a near alignment with Saturn and Neptune. Powerful convergence here, and that converges also with significant lunar geometry, the opposition with Uranus, and 135 degrees with the Sun and with Jupiter at the same time. And we can expect or anticipate, we don't know for sure what's going to happen. It depends on the conditions of Earth's crust, but we should anticipate stronger seismic activity, an obvious seismic response on the 6th, 7th, possibly peaking around the 7th here. Depends on the stress levels in Earth's crust, whether it's going to stay in the higher 5 or magnitude 6 range. We can have clustering of stronger earthquakes, the typical temporal clustering in unrelated faults, higher 5, borderline 6, but there could be a stronger one in there around the 7th. We already had 3 magnitude 7 earthquakes in the previous time frame. We cannot exclude the possibility around the 7th of another larger earthquake. And then we have the Moon in an opposition with Jupiter later on the 9th, when Venus-Saturn-Neptune will be at their closest alignment here, just under 26 minutes. And as a result, we could see a seismic response around the 10th, give or take 1 day. This is what we're going to have in the coming time frame. Check out the latest updates on the website and also in our social media. Stay safe, everyone, and until next time.